don't know about you, but I have a hard time picking out clothes in the morning this time of year. Because sometimes when I wake up in the fall, it's really cold. And I want to put on jeans and a big chunky sweatshirt and maybe like big chunky thick socks and just be warm and cozy all day. But then by lunchtime, it's hot. It feels like summer, and I want to switch to a t-shirt and shorts and sandals. Have you had that experience? This time of year, I've had that experience. So today I'm going to tell a story. Sometimes I tell stories that happened long ago and far away. This is a story that happened very recently and right here, and in UU churches all over the country. You see, every year, Unitarian Universalists come together for a big meeting, conference thing called General Assembly, or sometimes GA. Raise your hand if you've been to GA. A couple of folks have been to GA. So because our congregations and our association is run by the people, the members, we send delegates to GA, and at GA every year, people talk about things like what Unitarian Universalists should be focused on, where we should put our money and our energy. They vote on leadership for the assembly and things like that. And every once in a long while, we challenge ourselves to think deeply about what our guiding values are. So back in 1985, that is almost 40 years ago. I know, it's crazy. I was in 4th grade in 1985. That does not feel like 40 years ago. It was 39 years ago. So back in 1985 was when we came up with the 7 principles. There were actually 6 before that, and then in 1985 we added the 7th. And some congregations added an 8th principle more recently that specifically dealt with anti-racism. But for a long time, the principles were our guiding values as a Unitarian Universalist faith, and we loved them. So why in the world would we consider changing something that we all love and hold dear? So this brings me back to the weather. In 1985, the world was pretty different than it was today. The weather around us was different. My experience in 4th grade in 1985 was very different than my kids' experience in 4th grade, which for my oldest was 8 years ago, so it's even more different now. So we had to challenge ourselves to think, are these the right clothes for this weather? Are these the right value statements for the world we live in right now? And that process took 4 years of UUs talking to one another and brainstorming and thinking and wondering and questioning and debating and, yes, arguing to come up with value statements, new value statements. And in June of this past year, over 2,500 UU delegates voted, and with just over 80% of the vote, our new value statements passed. And those are the new guiding values of our association. And they are love, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. And the way that we can remember these, the cute, fun way, is JETPIG, right? Love, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. And we will keep talking about this, for the next year plus. But I want to say that when it's summertime, you don't throw away your favorite sweater, right? You just put it off to the side because you don't need it right then. So if the principles are important to you, if the principles are what keeps grounds you in your faith, keep the principles. Keep using that as your personal guide point. That's fine. No one's telling you have to throw them away. It's just that as a faith, we've moved to these new value statements, which work better for some people. But we didn't just get rid of our favorite sweater. It's still there. It's part of our heritage. And we have new stuff that suits better the times that we're in. JETPIG. Thank you for listening to my story this morning.